Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when and where you are watching. It's your girl Choose here, and we're just going to get into this story about the CEO of United Healthcare. Now, this story caught my attention because I remember getting a family member on United Healthcare temporarily as they were looking for a more permanent healthcare plan. This was absolutely shocking, but a reminder that we should absolutely take threats seriously because they're saying this was not a random unalivement.
Sandra, a horrifying and shocking act of violence. That is how Senator Amy Klobuchar described the cold-blooded killing of Brian Thomson. Thomson, as we mentioned, was the CEO of United Healthcare, a company based in Minnesota. But he was in Manhattan for an annual conference at the Hilton when his life was cut short this morning by a murderer in Midtown. Brian Thomson was 50 years old, 50. And while his business acumen and leadership skills paved the way to a prosperous and privileged career in the healthcare industry, it was his roles as husband and father of two that meant the world to his family. We are shattered to hear about the senseless killing of our beloved Brian, wrote his wife Paulette in a statement. Brian was an incredibly loving, generous, talented man who truly lived life to the fullest and touched so many lives. Most importantly, Brian was an incredibly loving father to our two sons and will be greatly missed. For the last 3 years, Thomson served as the chief executive officer of United Healthcare, the health benefits business of its parent company, United Health Group, the country's largest private health insurer. Before holding the company's top spot, Thomson oversaw United's government programs from 2019 to 2021, a responsibility that added to his management of the company's Medicare and retirement division. He kicked off his career with United 20 years ago as the director of corporate development before working his way to CEO. A statement issued by United Health Group said, Brian was a highly respected colleague and friend to all who worked with him. We are working closely with the New York Police Department and ask for your patience and understanding during this difficult time. United Health Group is based in Minnetonka, Minnesota. The flags outside corporate headquarters flew at half-staff today.
I knew Brian. Tragic. And as I said, some of it's still preliminary on this, but figure out what was behind this and follow through, making sure someone's brought to justice. But just our deepest condolences to the family. Horrible tragedy.
United Health and Brian Thomson were under the scrutiny of federal investigators. The Department of Justice was looking at the company for antitrust issues. Mr. Thomson dumped more than $15 million in stock before telling investors or the public about the federal investigation.
Whoa, now that's deep. He was under investigation as well. I don't know. Let's go on.
In the surveillance video, the victim walks by when the suspect comes from behind, points the gun, and shoots. The victim, Brian Thomson, was shot in his leg and his back. Police are reviewing these images as they search for the suspect.
Investigators released these images Thursday morning of a person of interest they want to question in the case, taken at a hostel on the city's Upper West Side.
At this hostel, they said they had this individual who had the same coat, who was wearing a mask. He almost never took it down.
Except for one brief moment at the front desk, say police, who interviewed several people at the hostel.
They remembered that person. So he's a person of interest, and they want to get him identified to determine if he is their suspect. Or he can be eliminated.
While police work that lead, new clues are emerging on the bullets themselves, according to several law enforcement officials. The words delay and depose were discovered on ammunition found at the scene. Depose was etched into a shell casing from a fired round. Delay was on a live round that wasn't fired, but ejected when the shooter was clearing a jam.
They are operating on the theory that the bullets had a message against insurance companies who, when hit with claims, will delay or go to court and take depositions.
If someone has heard him use those words before and sees that picture, especially of his face in the Starbucks, they would be able to put two and two together and get in touch with law enforcement.
What can you tell us about those words and what they might mean?
Sure. The words were written meticulously, our sources tell us, in a Sharpie pen on the bullets and the cases. Words including deny and delay, very similar to the title of a book, Deny, Delay, Defend. written by Jay Friedman, who's critical of the healthcare industry's insurance company comportment when people are asking for claims, when they're asking for coverage. They're denying coverage.
Okay.
And so this is a major clue that could speak to motive. They haven't said definitively yet, but investigators are absolutely pursuing this line of investigation and are looking at disgruntled feelings about health insurance policy as a potential motive in this murder.
Wow, this is such a sad situation. And you can see here, this is the route that the killer took. This is exactly what they are saying has happened. He got on a bike, rode towards Central Park and through Central Park. And I mean, this was really brazen. This was terrible. And as we know, again, you know, CEOs, insurance companies, they get threats, but then there's also the dumping of $15 million without telling someone into stocks. I mean, overall, we should all really take threats very seriously because we never know people's mental health status. And sometimes people, unfortunately, make good on those threats. We will keep you updated on anything else that we hear coming out of this story. But until next time, sending love and light.
I have never struggled.
Never struggled.
No. I've never complained. You never complain, never explain.
Helen?
When I lived in New York, if I wasn't working in show business, I got me a job doing something else.
So you just kept the living?
I worked. I had to work because wasn't nobody taking care of me but me. My husband was dead. I didn't have no way. But I knew how to make a living.
Right.
I worked in Western Union. I worked in the post office. I worked at the Manhattan Mesa where I served dinner parties. I run a hotel work. I run elevators. You know, I've always worked.
So Helen